If your strategy relies on a quarterly scan, you are not managing risk. You're documenting history. By the time you see the leak, the data's gone. You're navigating in a high-speed, AI-driven environment with a map that was outdated the second it was printed. Hi, my name's Cole Padula, and I'm from Cyberhaven. Today we're breaking down why your DSPM needs need to be a live map, not a quarterly scan. Data is no longer neatly contained. Your architecture diagrams might show information neatly inside a SQL database, but the reality is constant fragmentation. Data doesn't stay where it's born, it gets queried, analyzed, exported far beyond your controls. Think about a standard workflow. A customer list in Salesforce is exported as a CSV. It gets parsed, pasted into a browser-based AI tool, and shared via Slack. In under an hour, regulated data has moved through a SaaS app, an unmanaged endpoint, and a collaboration platform. This creates a massive blind spot. If you rely on static inventory lists, you are navigating with a map from 10 years ago. If you can only see the original repository, you are missing the vast majority of your risk surface. The gap between where you think your data is locked in a database and where it actually lives is the primary vector for modern data incidents. This fragmentation is exactly why standard DSPM tools are failing. Most organizations rely on a periodic scan of known repositories, but in a world where data moves instantly, this approach suffers from a fatal flaw: latency. A static scan is outdated the moment it finishes. It's like taking a Polaroid of a high-speed chase. By the time the photo develops, the cars are already gone. If a scan finishes on Monday morning and a user exports a sensitive table that afternoon, you're completely blind to that risk. Furthermore, relational database tags are brittle. They often don't travel with the data. Imagine tagging a physical file with a confidential sticker, only for that sticker to vanish the moment someone photocopies a page. That's exactly what happens when a user hits export in Salesforce. The tag doesn't embed in the CSV, leaving the data naked and stripped of the context. Once that file lands on an endpoint or moves into shadow SaaS tools, it becomes invisible to inventory-based tools. This disconnect generates excessive noise. Because traditional tools lack origin context, they rely entirely on pattern matching. They scan for strings that look like PII, but cannot distinguish between a developer's test file and a legitimate database export. Security teams end up drowning in false positives as a result of this information. When everything looks like a leak, nothing is treated like a leak. We have to stop treating data as a static object and start treating it as a moving target. To close this gap, reframe DSPM as a live map rather than a reporting function. Effective security requires real-time discovery. You need to identify sensitive data the moment it moves, not weeks later when a crawler reaches that directory. Shift from asking yourself what you have to asking what's happening right now. As data changes form, when a customer list becomes a pivot table or a screenshot, its classification must update immediately. This ensures controls apply to the data itself, regardless of format or host application. It's not just in the cloud, it's in a Slack snippet, a contractor's desktop, a generative AI prompt, or a personal Dropbox account. If your map doesn't show all of these simultaneously, it's not a map, it's a memory. This is where Cyberhaven Data Security Posture Management changes the equation. Fueled by the Cyberhaven Unified AI and Security Platform, it builds that live map in real time. It monitors movement across your entire environment: endpoints, SaaS, IaaS, PaaS, cloud environments, and generative AI applications. This map uses historical and forward-scanning context. You see exactly what has already happened, and the second a new file is created, it is scanned and classified for you to review. No waiting for batch jobs, you watch data move as it's happening. Real-time visibility aligns security with business speed. If a developer propagates a new S3 bucket with production data, our data lineage technology detects it instantly. If an employee pastes proprietary code into a public AI interface, forward scanning catches the event in the browser session. By treating the data map as a living entity, you move from reactive cleanup and constant visibility gaps to active situational awareness. Watch this next video to see exactly how that proliferation happens and how to stop it.